So what does the objective of granting copyright here means? Like if I write a book on something on a relevant topic or something like, see, for example, you are law students, right? You refer to a lot of books throughout your 5 years. Now, if those books were not there, you would have a problem in studying the law and understanding the law if there was no Bare Act, if there was no written material for you, right? So copyright or literary works, even musical works, dramatic works, any kind of work, it need not be only related for some useful work. It could be also for leisure purposes. Like some people like to read novels for leisure purpose. We like to watch movies for leisure purpose. They are like relaxation time. So even that is important for a human well-being, for an overall societal development, having leisure activities, having work activities. So copyright, by protecting authors' works, it incentivizes them to create more work. If there was no right, if there was no copyright, then authors would have no incentive to create more work. They would feel that if our work is not even protected and people are copying our work, then why do we even create it? We are not getting money, we are not getting recognition. So copyright provides an incentive to authors to create the work. After the time period of copyright is over, the work falls in the public domain, meaning everybody can use it without taking permission from the author. And the author has already realized the commercial benefits in the time period. So the copyright time period is a fairly long enough time period. The author gets ownership of copyright for the whole of his lifetime, and after his death for 60 more years. So lifetime plus 60 years is the time period for copyright ownership, which is a fair enough time period to recover his like money and commercial benefits. This is the objective of granting copyright, to balance the societal interest with the private interest. Now, copyright assures the authors the right to their original expression of the work, but encourages others to freely build upon the ideas conveyed. See, the core foundation of copyright law, the base on which copyright stands, is that copyright does not subsist in ideas. Copyright only subsists in the expression of those ideas. You can write this down if you want in your bullet points, that there is no copyright in ideas. There are around hundreds of Bollywood movies that focus on romance. Every story, however, differs in its own way. So, one movie, for example, is Romeo and Juliet, and the other movie is, say, Two States. Both of them are romantic movies. However, the story and the expression of the idea of romance is different in both. So, copyright is subsisting in the expression of the idea in which the director has expressed through the movie or the producer has expressed through the movie. They are not having copyright on the idea of romance, but only on the expression of their movie. So there is no copyright on ideas. It could be any idea. It could people are free people are free to build upon ideas in their own ways, in their own expressions. That expression has to be original. It should not be copied. So from now, this whole concept is called the idea expression dichotomy that I've written in bold here. Idea expression dichotomy brings us brings us to the idea or sorry brings us to the concept of originality, that the expression of the work has to be original. Original meaning it should originate from the mind, creativity, intellect of the author. It should not be copied from anybody else. Originality basically means it should not be copied. It need not be new. Like I just gave the example of romance. It is not new as a concept. It is a very old and overused theme for creating films, but the expression of it has to be original. This is the criteria for copyrightability. Now, what are the rights which a copyright owner gets when he gets the ownership of his work? What all can he do with the work? He can reproduce the work. He can make copies of the work. He can issue those copies to the public. If I'm an author, I can make as many copies of my work, of my novel, and issue it anywhere. I can sell it anywhere. I can perform my work in public. If I've composed a musical composition, I can perform it. If I've made a dance performance, I can perform it. If I've written a song, I can sing it in public. To make any cinematograph film or sound recording of the work. Of the work meaning, I can make a film out of a script I've written. I can incorporate a musical composition along with the lyrics in a film. So I am incorporating my work in a cinematograph film. Similarly, in case of a sound recording, I can write a script and I can make a recitation recording of it. So it could be a poem, it could be a dubbing script, and I can just record it, or I can just audio record it, and that will be a sound recording of my work. To make a translation of the work. If I've written a book in English, I can write the same book in Hindi. I have the right, I don't have to take any permission for changing the language of my book. I can translate my book. However, if anybody else wants to translate my book, they have to take my permission. If they do it without my consent, they will be infringing my copyright. To make any adaptation of the work. Adaptation means changing the form of the work. For example, make adapting a book into a movie. Like Two States was a book written by Chetan Bhagat and it was incorporated or adapted into a movie. Or you can say I can adapt a script, literary work into a movie. Okay, so adaptation means changing the form of the work. Don't confuse it with reproduction. Reproduction means making more copies of the work. So the form does not change, only the volume of copies or the number of copies increase. In adaptation, the form of the work, the state of the work changes. It should also be noted that copyright is an automatic right. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So what's the difference between the first and the second point?
See,
Like in the
reproduce.
various.
See, the first point only talks about reproduction. So I can make copies and I can keep those copies. The second talks about issuing the work to the public. In the first part there is no like mention of you know showing the work to anyone or selling the work to anyone. That just means you can reproduce your work. It could be suppose you make notes in the class. Okay, so you have copyright on those notes. Now you have the option of keeping 2-3 copies of your work just for your own convenience. For example, you want to keep one copy in your like in your college hostel, one copy at home. That is only reproduction. Second comes when you want to issue the work to the public. If you want to gain monetary benefits of from your notes, you can make more copies and you can issue the work to the public. You can offer it for sale. So the first one does not have any commercial benefits. The second one means you are trying to gain commercial benefits of your
Yes,
work.
got it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, copyright is an automatic right. As I told you, I can make any random design on a paper right now and I will have an automatic copyright on it. I don't have to necessarily go to the copyright office to get a certificate of registration. In all other IPRs, we have to get a mandatory certificate of registration. Without that certificate, I don't have any intellectual property right over my work. In copyright only, you need not have a certificate. However, having a certificate and having a registration document is suggested so that if there is any litigation or any case, infringement case that happens, you have a documented evidence of your copyright. Otherwise, it is impossible to prove that you have copyright. If I don't have a document in hand, what will I say in the court? How do I prove that I have copyright over my work? The other person can easily say that I made that design before her. How can I prove it? So having a certificate of registration is recommended. However, it is not necessary. So copyright is an automatic right, and this is a very common question that we see. So even in the CLAT exams for masters, this copyright is an automatic right MCQ comes almost every year. So this is an important concept you need to remember. Now, what is the nature of copyright? Copyright is an incorporeal property in nature. Incorporeal meaning intangible, something we can't touch. It is justified on the ground that the owner has created it. So when I told you the meaning of intellectual property rights in the first place, I told you it means something that originates from the author, uh, originates from the owner of the intellectual property right, from the intellect, creativity, mind, time, effort, everything of the person who makes the work. It could be copyright, patent, anything. Being the owner of his or her work, he or she can dispose it off by outright sale, by assignment of his right, or by licensing. See, assignment and licensing are two ways by which a copyright owner can transfer his or her copyright. Assignment means you are basically selling your copyright. You are retaining no rights whatsoever. In licensing, you retain certain rights and you transfer only some of the rights for a particular period of time to a third party. So assignment in essence means sale. So there is no practical difference between the two. It is only terminological difference that people use. Licensing, on the other hand, means that you are still the owner of copyright. When you assign copyright, you cease to be the owner. You are no longer the owner. You only remain the author. In copyright law, we use two terminologies. One is author of copyright, one is owner of copyright. By default, the author and the owner are the same person. So, like I drew a design on paper, I become the author the moment I draw it, and I become the owner because copyright is automatic. If I decide to, for example, assign my copyright to a third party. So, for example, I want to assign this copyright to a publisher. Okay, I want him to publish my book, my design in his book, and he wants to take copyright ownership because it becomes easier, and he wants to also gain money out of it because he'll be spending all the money on the publishing. Now I have assigned my copyright to him, so he becomes the owner. I only remain the author of my work. So author and owner here become separate people. On the other hand, what people usually do, they don't give up their copyright, they give the publisher a license to publish their work. So instead of assignment, the copyright owners prefer licensing their work because then they can retain their copyright. You are not transferring your ownership, you are just transferring certain particular rights. In this case, only right to publish. If the publisher uses or like tries to enforce any other right, like reproduces it uh, for any purpose other than publishing, or he translates your book, he will be infringing copyright. So licensing, because transfers only particular rights, it will be infringement. I hope this is clear. It is to be noted that the property is intellectual property in the sense that it originates in the mind of persons before it is reduced to material form. Intellectual property, the word intellect means it's coming from the mind. So even before you have put it down in a material form, in copyright that is called fixation. Fixing it in a permanent form. So we say fixation of the work. So even if the work is fixated in a material form, it is written down or recorded orally, in writing, whatever, any form of recording, it is already an intellectual property the moment it originates in the mind. However, it should be kept in mind that those ideas and thoughts are not protected. The idea expression dichotomy that I just explained, which exist in a person's brain as ideas and thoughts, are not works. Ideas and thoughts are not works, only expressions are works under copyright law, but once reduced to writing or other material form, the results become protectable. For copyright protection, fixation is important. So I was saying before it is fixated, it is already intellectual property. But I did not use the word right there because there was no right as yet. It's only after it is reduced to a material form, after it is fixated, recorded, written down, anything, then the rights come into play. Then it becomes intellectual property rights. So in copyright, it is fixation is a prerequisite for protection. Third, copyright is a bundle of exclusive rights. It is called a negative right. The owner can prevent others from copying his work. Negative right in the sense because you can prohibit others from infringing your rights. You can prohibit others from intruding in your copyright, from translating your work, adapting your work, reproducing your work, and so on. So you are basically exercising or enforcing a negative right. So this is an aspect of the nature of copyright. See, if you get a question on like asking you to explain the nature of copyright or the scope of copyright, so you have to basically sum up the whole semester. You have to write everything in short. It could be even a one-page answer. It's not expected to be lengthy, but it has to include all aspects of copyright. So this nature that I'm explaining here is just an introduction. All that we'll be covering in the whole semester on copyright comes under the nature of copyright. So you have to be conceptually clear. You don't have to learn or mug up things because it's not possible in IPR. IPR is very conceptual. If you try even to learn or mug up things, you will not be able to. It will all go over the head. So please try to understand conceptually. The rights conferred by copyright are limited in time. In India, copyright is granted for a period of 60 years after the lifetime of author. After this, the work falls into public domain. See, the work falling into public domain doesn't mean that it can be misused. The moral rights. So authors also have moral rights apart from economic rights. So the rights that I've written here, these 7 rights, are economic rights because they yield economic benefits, commercial viability. There are certain moral rights also that the author has. It is also there in the Bayer Act under section 57. Moral rights basically protect the author from things like insult of the work, somebody claiming this work to be theirs when it's your work. So right of paternity, we call it. Paternity means parenthood. I'm the parent of my work. Nobody else can claim that they have written the work when it's written by me. So that is the right of paternity. Right of integrity is there, that nobody can insult my book, nobody can distort my work, that it harms my reputation or the reputation of my work. So those are moral rights. Now, when I gave you the example wherein owner and author can be, vested in different persons, there is one important point to be remembered. When copyright subsists in different people, as in the ownership is, uh, uh, the owner is a different person and the author is a different person, it has to be remembered that with the ownership, only the economic rights are transferred. So these rights are only transferred if I assign my copyright. I will still retain my moral rights throughout my life. There is no time period for moral rights. It is beyond lifetime plus 60 years. Moral rights are never exhausted. So nobody ever, even after my copyright is over, can insult my work or infringe upon my right of paternity by claiming the work is theirs. So moral rights remain with the author. Yeah, tell me.
Yes, ma'am. So even after assigning the work, it can't get over,
Insult.
right? Yeah,
See,
insult.
yeah, I will only assign my economic rights that now you can earn money from my work, but you cannot insult my work, you cannot distort my work, you cannot claim that you have written the work. You have to everywhere give me the credit that this work is written by this author, and we only have the copyright to publish or sell the work. You have to mention, so in every book that you pick up, in on the first page, like when you open the book inside, there is a disclaimer every time that who is the copyright owner of the book. Every novel, every book you pick up, it's there. Every DVD, every cassette, anything you pick up which is a work, literary, artistic, everywhere there is a disclaimer that who is the copyright owner. So next time when you pick up something, just read, you'll get an idea what I'm trying to say. Now please open your Barracks. You can open it online also, but whoever has a hard copy, I'm going to make you guys mark some definitions that you guys have to know. The rest you can skip. So I'll just give you the alphabets and you can tick mark them. Just a moment. I hope everything's clear as of now. It's not very, you're not thinking it's complicated, right? I think it's quite understandable till now.
Ma'am, can you repeat the time limit of 60 years?
Yeah. So in India, the copyright protection to an author is granted for his lifetime. So till the time the author is alive, he will have copyright. And after his death, for 60 more years. So whenever he dies, for 60 more years, the copyright will subsist. So lifetime plus 60 years is what we say. It's written here in the last line, 60 years after lifetime.
Okay.
Ma'am, I just had an unrelated question.
Yeah, tell me.
I just wanted to ask if copyrights are not registered, like, so how does one make sure that his work doesn't infringe somebody else's copyright?
That I don't infringe someone else's copyright, you're trying to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. That's my
That
question.
is up to you. Na? Morally, you should not be infringing someone else's work. The
But if
registered
it's not
committee,
registered, how will somebody know about someone's work?
So
Like
that is why it is recommended that you have to register to document your registration that I'm the owner, I wrote this work on this date, and that nobody can infringe upon my rights. But it is just a peculiar feature of copyright, that the Indian law does not mandate registration, but it is recommended everywhere, and every author gets a certificate of registration. Nobody leaves it like that. It is just a way of explaining that Indian law does not mandate.
So, ma'am, no suit could be initiated unless like registration is done, right?
No. Suit can be initiated, but you can't prove your copyright if you don't have like document to support your claims.
Then what would be the meaning of initiation of suit when it can't be proved? Like,
See, that is your problem, that you didn't get it registered, right? If the other person feels you're infringing his rights, he will anyway initiate a suit. But if you don't have a document to support, that is a fault on your part. It's a lapse on your part. So everybody gets it registered. But since you still have copyright without registration, the rights are there. So when there is a right, there is a remedy, right? So a suit can be initiated because the copyright is there. But it's only in the litigation procedures that a problem will be faced, because you will not have anything to substantiate your claims.
okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, may I ask a doubt, please?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, supposedly, in an instance where there's an assignment of copyright, and there are two, the owner and the author of the copyright, and a third party now has infringed upon these rights. So, can the owner and author together sue this third party?
See, now it will depend if an economic right has been infringed or a moral right. If an economic right has been infringed, like the rights that are here, then only the owner will be suing. If it's the publisher, for example, the example I took, then only the publisher can sue. If any moral right has been infringed, then the author can sue. Now there is also like a landmark case that happened. I'll briefly tell you the facts to make you understand. So there was this painter who used to create sculptures and engravings on a very high level, like life-size sculptures. So he created a sculpture for the Vidhan Sabha of India years ago, like just after independence. So his sculpture was kept at the very entrance, at a very, like a good place wherein, all the tourists can see, and it was a very, like a hotspot to keep a sculpture. Now, after some years of display, the sculpture was like put in the storeroom without telling the author of the work. Now, the author, when he gave the work to the Vidhan Sabha for display, he transferred the ownership of copyright to the government. So the government was now the owner of copyright. There was a proper assignment contract for the same. But since the authorship cannot be transferred, he remained the author. Now the author is the person the sculptor, and the owner is the government in this case. Now, when the work was thrown in the storeroom, it was not kept properly. It was not taken care of. And over years, it like got spoiled. The sculpture started to break, and it started to, the paint started coming off and everything. Now, the author, he visited the Vidhan Sabha once randomly, and he saw that his sculpture was missing from that area. He went to the storeroom, he saw the state of his work. He filed a suit on the ground of infringement of moral rights, that his right of integrity has been infringed because his work has been insulted and distorted without his permission. It was put in the storeroom without his permission. They should have taken consent that we are now removing the work from display and we are putting it in the storeroom. He was not told, and the state or the condition of the work had been deteriorated. Now here he has not initiated a suit on any moral right. There is no commercial gain. There is no commercial aspect in the case. It is only that his moral right was infringed. So he could sue. However, if there was a third party who tried to gain economic benefit of the sculpture, then the government could only sue because they were the owners now. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Now you guys can mark some definitions. Whoever has a hard copy, mark it in the Bear Act. Otherwise, you can write it somewhere if you're reading a PDF or something. So the section 2 talks about the definitions, wherein A, you have to read, but we will be reading it. I'm just making you mark. A defines an adaptation of the work. What does different work, how can different works be adapted? Then you mark C, artistic works meaning. Then you mark D, what does an author mean in respect of various works? Then you mark DB, meaning of broadcast. Then you mark F, meaning of cinematograph film.
Ma'am, what is the DB? The-
Sorry.
The previous one, which one you said? Can you?
D is author and double D is broadcast. So it was added by an amendment, so they just named it DD.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Then F, cinematograph film. FF, communication to the public. Double F. Then double FA, composer. Double FC, computer program. Then H, dramatic work. I, engravings. Then M, infringing copy. This is very important. 2M, infringing copy. Then O, please mute yourself. Achha, sorry. I talks about engraving, and then after I we have M, which talks about infringing copy. Then O, which defines a literary work. P, P for Paris, which defines a musical work. Q, Q defines a performance. Then double X defines a sound recording.
Ma'am, can you just repeat the last word you said?
Double X. It defines a sound recording. Then Y. It defines a work. Okay, now we'll read the definitions and try to understand because before beginning with the sections, it's important we know the definitions according to the Indian law, particularly. Because this copyright differs from country to country. Patent, every IPR, the laws differ from country to country. So we have to study it from the Indian perspective. So we'll go through the marked definitions. So the first definition is of adaptation. In relation to a dramatic work, the conversion of the work into a non-dramatic work. So this section basically, it tells you in respect of different particular works, what does adaptation of that particular work mean? So for dramatic work, if you convert the work into a non-dramatic work, it means an adaptation. Only for a dramatic work. In relation to a literary work or an artistic work, the conversion into a dramatic work by way of performance in public or otherwise. So if you want to adapt a literary or an artistic work, you convert it into a dramatic work. So these things have no logic per se. You just have to remember what a adaptation for each work means. In relation to a literary or dramatic work, any abridgment of the work. Abridgment means shortening the work to make it more concise and streamlined. So like a summary. So I could make a synopsis of a long research paper. That will be called an abridgment of the research paper. Abridgment of the work or any version of the work in which the story, or can you please mute yourself if there's no doubt? Thank you. Somebody is unmuted. Please look who it is. Okay. In relation to a literary or dramatic work, any abridgment of the work or any version of the work in which the story or action is conveyed wholly or mainly by means of pictures in a form suitable for reproduction in a book, newspaper, magazine, or similar periodical. Now, these definitions you don't have to memorize word to word, obviously. It's not even possible and it's not required. You just need to know what the adaptation means. So, like, just in one line or in your own words, you need to know. In relation to a musical work, any arrangement or transcription of the work. So the musical notes that musicians write down, so that is an adaptation. From a musical work to a literary work, we can say. In relation to any work, any use of such work involving its rearrangement or alteration. So the first 4 points were talking about very specific works, like what does dramatic work adaptation mean, what does this mean. The fifth makes it a very inclusive section. So basically says that apart from this, if you convert any work into, if you change its state or condition, it will be considered to be an adaptation. So it makes it very inclusive. So it also means that the first 4 points, even if they were not there, it would have made sense. However, it is still there. So you have to also remember the specific works, and you have to remember that any work will also amount to an adaptation of the work. The next definition is of an artistic work. Now, artistic work, one thing you have to remember that whether a work contains an artistic quality is a very subjective question. I might feel that this particular painting is very artistic and you might not feel the same, and vice versa. So the abstract art paintings that we have, some people feel that they are very artistic and they have a lot of thought and consideration that go into those paintings, and some people think they're not even art. That is nothing. You just throw paint on a canvas and you call it art. So the fact whether a painting or any artistic work has an artistic quality is not a criteria of copyright protection, because it is very subjective. It will differ from person to person, opinion to opinion. So you have to remember that quality is irrelevant for artistic works. You can write it somewhere that quality is irrelevant. You can write it in the Bare Act only if you want. What does an artistic work include? It includes a painting, sculpture, drawing, including a diagram, map, chart, or plan, an engraving, or a photograph, whether or not any such work possess artistic quality. So what I just explained is written here, whether or not any such work possesses artistic quality. A work of architecture and any other work of artistic craftsmanship. So architectural works are copyrighted under artistic works. So remember, artistic works are not under design or not under patent, they are under copyright. Photographs are also under copyright, under artistic works. Photographer is the author of the work in this case, and photograph is the artistic work. Now, what does an author mean? The definition of author is very important. You have to memorize every author. First is, for a literary and dramatic work, the author of the work. I know it's very self-explanatory, but you just have to remember. For literary or dramatic work, whoever makes the work, meaning author of the work. In relation to a musical work, the composer of the work is the author. In relation, please mute yourself. In relation to an artistic work, other than a photograph, the artist. Artistic work other than a photograph is written because for a photograph, the photographer is the author. For all other artistic works that are there in subsection C, the author is the author, like the person who makes the artistic work is the author. Photograph is an exception because photograph's author is a photographer. In relation to a photograph, the person taking the photograph, basically the photographer. In relation to a cinematograph, film, or sound recording, the producer. Now here, you have to remember that in a film, the producer owns the copyright on the film, not the director, not any other person. It's only the producer. Unless there is a contract to the contrary, the whole film economic rights will belong to the producer. In relation to any literary, dramatic, musical, or artistic work which is computer generated, the person who causes the work to be created. Computer generated meaning anything which is online. I'm writing it online, I'm creating it online. Person who makes it, who creates the work is the author. Is the definition of author clear for every work? You have to remember all the names, like all. It's very easy. All of them are self-explanatory, but still you need to remember. Now, double D talks about broadcast. What does broadcast mean technically? It means communication to the public. So by broadcast, we communicate the work to the public. If we are broadcasting a TV show or a match, anything, so we are basically showing it to the public for their enjoyment. What can be the means of this broadcast? By wireless diffusion, whether in any one or more of forms of signs, sounds, visual images. So wireless diffusion meaning the satellite broadcast that we have. By wire. By wire can be the cable connections that we used to have. Now that we don't have cable connections anymore, but wired and wireless. So if you communicate any work to the public by wired means or wireless means, you are broadcasting the work. A cinematograph film, next definition, is that of a cinematograph film. It means any work of visual recording. So when we are talking only of a sound recording, we talk about sound recordings, phonograms. Here we are talking about visual recording, so it is a film and includes a sound recording accompanying such visual recording, meaning a song. If it is only music, it goes under sound recording. But here we have a visual also along with the sound, so it becomes a song which is incorporated in a film. And cinematograph shall be construed as including any work produced by any process analogous to cinematography, including video films. So when you use the process of cinematography to create an audio-visual recording, you are basically making a cinematograph film. You're basically making a movie. In short, this is just a technical definition. The next definition that we have is that of communication to the public. Communication to the public, we just read in the definition of broadcast, right? The first line means communication to the public. Now we are defining this term only. It means making any work or performance available for being seen or heard or otherwise enjoyed by the public directly or by means of display or diffusion other than by issuing physical copies, whether simultaneously or at places and times chosen individually, regardless of whether any member of the public actually sees, hears, or otherwise enjoys the work or performance made available. Now we'll break this definition. The first part of the definition says making any work or performance available for being seen or heard or otherwise enjoyed. Okay, so when you are making any work available for other people on a large scale, like the public here, so that they can see it, hear it, or in some other way just enjoy it, that is the first part of communicating the work to the public. The second part says directly or by means of display or diffusion other than by issuing physical copies. So when you're issuing physical copies, it means distribution of the work. I know distribution and communication of the work sound very similar, but the only difference is that that is physical and that is virtual. So broadcast is not physical, right? It is virtual. It is like wireless, or even if it is wired, it is not physical. You are not issuing copies. You're not selling the DVD. You are broadcasting it through wired connections or a wireless or a wireless diffusion. When you sell physical copies of the film, you are distributing the work. So that is not included in broadcast. That is what this means, other than by issuing physical copies. Whether simultaneously or at places and times chosen individually. It could be at the same time, it could be at different times. So one match can be broadcasted at the same time all over the world, or it can be broadcasted at different time zones considering what time the maximum viewership will be throughout the day. So it can be chosen or it can be simultaneous, regardless of whether the member of the public actually sees, hears, or enjoys it. Meaning, the broadcast of the match will happen. It is my choice if I want to watch it or not, right? I can also not watch it. So I can just switch on my TV, but the broadcast will still happen. So the communication is there. I'm just not looking at it or listening to it or enjoying it. So regardless of whether the public sees it, the broadcast definition gets completed the moment it is broadcasted. So the public enjoying it is not a prerequisite for communication. Is this definition clear? Hello?
Yes,
Please.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next definition is of a composer. In relation to a musical work, it means the person who composes the music, regardless of whether he records it in any form of graphical notation. Even if you don't record it, if you have created the music, you like not record it in graphical notation. Graphical notation meaning the musical notes. You still have to fixate your work for copyright protection. So you have to record it. It could be a sound recording basically, and they will be giving you the copyright. Now, one thing that you have to also keep in mind, a musical work does not contain words. A musical work is only tunes, only music. The words part, the lyrics part, they come under the literary works. So when we talk about a musical work and a composer being the author of that work, we only mean the musical notes, the background music, and the tunes. The lyrical part, the words part, is a literary work of which the author is the lyricist. So the categories of work are different. Next definition is of a computer program. Now, if any of you used to think that a computer program is patented, please remove that piece of knowledge from your mind. A computer program is not patented, it is copyrighted in India. So a computer software can be patented if it is attached to a hardware, a novel hardware. So when we come to patent and we talk about novelty, newness, I will bring up a topic on computer softwares, a class on computer software so that you know the difference. But when we talk about a computer program, it is copyrighted. See, a computer program is basically a literary work. So computer languages are there like Java and C++ and whatever languages are there, I'm not very aware. So when you write a language, it could be on paper, it could be like online. When you're writing it, you're basically creating a literary work. You are not you're not creating an invention that you can get it patented. It is a literary work that is coming originally from my mind, so it is an original literary work on which I can get a copyright. So computer programs are copyrighted works. It is defined under section 2 FFC. It says a computer program means a set of instructions expressed in words, codes, schemes, or any other form, including a machine readable medium, capable of causing a computer to perform a particular task or achieve a particular result. The most important line in this definition is the last line. Perform a particular task and achieve a particular result. My computer program should not be a random program that I've just written for the sake. It should not be something without any use. It should have to be eligible for copyright protection, that it achieves some task, it fulfills a purpose. So this is a peculiar feature of only a computer program. In any other work, like we haven't read this line in artistic work, for example, that for an artistic work to be protectable, it has to achieve a purpose. No, na. It's not there in any. It's not there under any work. It is only there for computer programs. So you can underline this last line and mark it as important. This is a criteria for granting copyright to computer programs. Now the rest of the definitions we will continue tomorrow. We don't have a class tomorrow on Monday. So that's it for today. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
Ma'am?
Yeah, tell me.
Yes, ma'am. For every invention, there will be a right on that, right, ma'am? They will get some copyrights or some rights, right, ma'am?
No, invention, the word invention is only used for patent. So if you're talking about that you have invented something, you will go under the patent only. You will not go under any other IPR. So you have to be very careful with the terminologies that you use. If you're using the word work, then you are under copyright.
Okay, ma'am.
But if
If
you
like
create anything new, so instead of using the word invention, you frame the sentence like, if I'm creating something new, it could be anything from a safety pin to a car, then I will have an IPR over my work. Now, what IPR I will get will depend on the kind of creation that I have made. If it's a book, it will go under copyright. If it's a car, it will go under patent. Okay, so any new creation which is originating from my mind, from my intellect, I'm putting hard work and time into it, I will have an intellectual property right over it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, if a computer program just makes it look good, will it have a copyright then?
Makes it look good as in
Just
it changes the display of the device.
yeah,
You
just
mean?
yeah, not that. Just makes it uh, look good. Just
See, if it is only enhancing the aesthetics of the this thing, then it will depend on the case, on the facts of the case. If that aesthetic is important, for example, it's a graphic designing website. So your display and your aesthetic look of the website will matter a lot because that will decide how good you are at your work. In this case, it is performing a function, so it will be copyrighted. However, if it's a random website which is not related to the aesthetic value of the website, if it is not relevant, basically, it might not be granted copyright. So this will now become subjective according to the facts. But if it's serving any purpose, it will be copyrightable.
Ma'am,
okay.
Yeah, tell me.
ma'am, a mere computer software is a patent or copyright?
The computer software is patentable if it is attached to a hardware. So if there is a software that I
Yes, ma'am.
have invented and I have attached it to my laptop, then the product together becomes patentable. But standalone a computer program is copyrighted.
Yes.
Are there more doubts? Okay.
Do the singers have any rights? Do the
Yeah.
singers
Singers have rights. They have the right. See, a singer has the copyright over the if the music composer and the lyricist and the singer are working together, so they have a collective copyright. Otherwise, the singer has a separate copyright, but it is not defined anywhere in the act. And a singer of a song that is incorporated in a movie, by default, all the rights vest in the producer. So the singer will not have, like Atif Aslam does not have the rights over the songs he sang in Race. The producer owns those rights. So in movie songs, the producer owns all the rights. However, he has moral rights over his song. So he can stop people from distorting his song, but he cannot claim monetary benefits from it. So authorship ownership aspect comes into play in case of singers. Same goes for choreographers. Otherwise, choreography is copyrightable. However, when it becomes part of a film, now the rights, the ownership, authorship aspect comes into play. So when we talk about the subject matter of copyright after I think 1 or 2 classes, then we will pick up separate works. We'll pick up songs. We'll pick up dance performances and scripts and like slogans, advertisements, and then we'll see how each copyright works under these works. Anything else?
Ma'am, what about NFTs, ma'am?
What about?
NFTs, non-fundable tokens, is like a digital art or digital collectible?
I'm not sure I know about this. Can you tell me what it is? Then I'll tell you.
I mean, it's like a digital collectible. I mean, let's say I have created one character and I have sold it to a game so that they could use that character in that game.
Yeah.
So, what rights does it acquire, ma'am? Copyright or patents?
No, that's copyright. That's copyright. So comic artists are there who like create comics. They create artistic works, and newspapers publish those works. So now, in such cases, the artist who creates the comic characters, he is the author of the work, but the ownership is in the newspaper. So like there are cartoons that are published every like in a at regular intervals, like every week. So every Wednesday, for example, a cartoon is published. I make those cartoons and I publish. I get them published in Times of India every Wednesday. Now, till the time I'm in an employment contract with them to publish my cartoons, they will only be able to gain economic benefits from the work, and I will be getting royalty for my work. See, for new artists who don't have a market value, they prefer going to big newspapers and magazines so that they can market themselves, so they get royalties because they are the authors and the owners are the newspaper. So if you give your work, any graphic work or any kind of work, to some other person for display, then you are if you transfer the copyright, then they are the owners and you are only the authors. Is it clear? Did it solve your doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, class, then I'll wind up. I think there are no doubts. If there are any, you can ask me, or you can also write it in the chat box later. I don't have a problem. Okay, then we'll wind
Yes,
up today. We'll see you. I'll see you on Monday. Bye. Have a nice weekend.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Same
you, ma'am.